Hey, I'm Scott McCoubrey from Scott Sports. I'm not the Scott, but I am a Scott. So we have some really neat innovations coming to the running market. We have a lineup now that'll be able to displace any company in the marketplace in all categories. We have a very innovative platform, very innovative materials. Initially, we brought the T2C to market about 2 years ago. This shoe, the initial concept was to put a kick in a tired triathlete's step. Ideally, when you're addressing the issues that happen in an Ironman, you've got fatiguing muscle groups, you have degenerating biomechanics, but you still have to crank out a sub 250 marathon in order to win it. This platform lends to all of those concepts. First and foremost, we have a very lightweight upper package, along with drainability in the shoe. We have drainage ports in the heel and in the forefoot. Then we have a perforated insole under your foot, allowing good cushioning where it needs it. And then into the shoe, right underneath that insole, we have channels running the full length of the shoe. The center channel leads to the front drainage ports, and the two lateral channels lead to the rear drainage ports, so any sweat or water that goes into the shoe is pushed directly out, thus keeping a very light upper package and keeping this shoe, despite the 21 millimeters of cushioning, down in the 8-ounce range in that marathon racing flat range. Now, when we're talking about the platform for somebody who's starting to fatigue and still has to run fast, you're addressing degenerative biomechanics in a way. If you're an overpronator, you're going to overpronate more. If you're a supinator, you're going to supinate more. And so in order to address that, we came up with an idea of really keeping that midfoot area filled in and wide. And for an 8-ounce shoe, this is going to be one of the widest midfoot platforms you'll see on the marketplace. Along with that, if you're starting to fatigue muscularly, your core muscles start to fall off a little bit. You may not be driving forward as much and coming down on the forefoot and the midfoot. And we want to minimize the impact of the shoe so we're not compounding that degeneration of the soft muscle tissue. So we came up with a platform that's like a big-headed tennis racket. First and foremost, you're going to come down midfoot, and you'll notice that in that midfoot area we have a slight rocker shape to the shoe. When you look at it from the back of the shoe, you'll notice a very aggressive taper off the heel, and then a very nice progression off the toe with a bit more of a drop further back than your typical shoe. That really gives us a very mild but effective rocker shape to the shoe. What that does is if you're starting off and you're really cranking it and you're coming forward from the core, you're going to get a very quick transition from midfoot to toe off. At the same time, if you're starting to fatigue, you're recessing back onto the heel, you get a very smooth roll from that heel to midfoot. If you are a forefoot runner, this platform really allows for a nice forefoot platform, which is going to allow you to get up on the forefoot and stay there if you are a forefoot runner. It will also allow you to roll back and still come off the forefoot. So no matter how you're coming down, no matter how you're hitting the ball, it's not going to go out of the court, okay? So it's going to adapt to all types of foot strikes. The other piece of the puzzle is really to minimize the stress on the soft muscle tissue. So maintaining 21 millimeters of cushioning from the calcaneus to the midfoot, even though we're much lower here and here, is going to really optimize that cushioning and that energy return for someone who is really needing that extra comfort from a pure cushioned shoe. So along with that, you'll notice that we put carbon rubber down that strike zone. What that carbon rubber does is it adds a lot of beef to the shoe, and we only put it where you need it, and it also helps guide the shoe from foot strike to toe off in a very effective manner. In the new version of the T2, we've done a couple of things here. First off, we've improved the upper of the shoe compared to last season's version. We softened the tongue up so you get better out of the box fit. We applied a very nice mesh package over the toe area so you get some conformity to elongation. And we've maintained the woven nylon that gives you that nice wrap to the heel. Since this shoe is really catching on as a lightweight trainer as well as a racing flat, we decided we'd add a little bit more integrity to the shoe for longer runs and everyday training. So we applied some materials to the shoe that are quite innovative. As you go from a racing flat to a training shoe, one of the biggest things you want to do is improve the guidance of the shoe with some torsional structure in the shoe. The challenge here is with this exaggerated midfoot, how do you put some structure in that midfoot of the shoe? Our answer is a material answer, and we came up with a TPU fiberglass composite, which will actually, when tensioned out, add structure to the shoe, but when it impacts the ground, it still deforms and bounces back. Along with that, we came out with a new foam material we call Aerofoam. We tested this first in a racing flat application over here, but now we are going to apply it to some of our lightweight trainers. In regular trainers, this foam is a very non-traditional in particularly where it's coming from and the way it's produced. It actually comes out of the aeronautics packaging world. The company that makes it is making foams designed to package airplane mold parts for Boeing and things like that. It is still an EVA-based material, but the product is actually a blown production as opposed to traditional EVA mold injection process. The desired end result here is a lot of air, but very even air holes in the foam. What that does is it allows for a very even deformation so that the airy foam does not break down, and it has a ton of elasticity or energy return. This Aerofoam, even though it's super soft, with a lot of air in it, you'll notice there's so much air we can't even color the foam, has a lot of deformation, but is a 10% more effective in rebound or elasticity, and about 10% more durable for long-term compression. At the same time, we're getting in at about 15 to 20% less in weight to the shoe, making this lightweight trainer, which is competing against 10.5-ounce shoes on the marketplace, coming in at about 8 ounces in an overall package. Now the T2C originally was designed to be a racing / lightweight trainer, and we wanted to take the same benefit that racing flat, that minimalist person is getting, and we wanted to apply that to the everyday training shoe for the everyday user. So we're maintaining that same geometry in our training shoes. This is called the E-Ride Trainer 2. This is our neutral training shoe, coming in at $115, which is competing in that everyday training neutral category. The main difference here is we're coming in at under 10 ounces in a men's 9, competing against shoes that are pushing up to the 12-ounce range. We're maintaining the same geometry as the T2 with the 21-11 with a 10mm heel to ball drop. We're maintaining that same rocker geometry, and we're taking more advantage of that TPU fiberglass tension element so that we're providing very good torsional structure in the shoe, but still allows the shoe to deform and bounce back. And this is really what's setting us apart from the other brands in the marketplace. This shoe's stability counterpart, which is competing with shoes in the 12.5-ounce range, is coming in at 10.2 ounces. You'll notice we're using the same geometry. We are utilizing a dual density material to resist compression medially. But we're giving you a little more beef in the shoe for a more flexible foot, and we're also giving you an asymmetrical tongue, which works better for a more flexible foot. A more flexible foot, which fits into the stability category, as the foot elongates, causes the tongue to shift, and you're always having to pull it back over. This tongue is pre-shifted and feels very natural in that position. Also in that training category, the one complaint maybe we've had in this area is we're a little bit firm, and so we wanted to come out with an option that is much more cushioned and still maintaining the geometry, the lightweight feel, but really hitting into that higher cushioned, a little bit higher end training shoe. So what we did is we went to 2313, maintaining that same heel to ball height, but we've applied the Aerofoam into this training shoe. With 23mm of Aerofoam, the cushioning and the deformation is super, super soft, super plush, but at the same time, the geometry of the shoe is very quick in its transition off the ground. And so you're getting the cushioning of a very high-end, very durable shoe, but not losing that quick responsiveness of a lightweight trainer. This shoe we're applying our higher-end upper, which we call E-Ride Fit, combining it with our E-Ride platform. You'll notice in this upper, we have a monosock around your toes, conforming to the elongation of the foot, but we have these wings that wrap up and hold the foot from the midfoot back, giving you a very nice light feel in a very stable, very supportive, highly cushioned package. We're also doing a stability version of the E-Ride. I'm sorry, this is called the AeroFoam Trainer. We're calling this one the AeroFoam Support. You'll notice the stability shoe has a dual density material on the medial side of the shoe, but we're bonding that to the medial side of the shoe, thus creating a wider platform for that more flexible foot, so that when it elongates and spreads out, we've got a wider platform under the midfoot where that foot wants to compress medially through that midfoot phase of the shoe. So when you look at the difference from our neutral platform to our stability platform, we have a platform here that is really generating energy from the medial side off the toe for that foot that's more flexible. You'll notice with the neutral platform, the energy is directed for that rigid foot to get it quickly off the toe, as opposed to locking up like a real rigid foot can sometimes. And so real nice added touches. This shoe comes in at $130 in the neutral version and $135 in the stability version of the shoe. Real nice women's colors there as well. So another new shoe in our lineup is really playing off of the success of, let's say, the Nike Free concept, which hit the market about 7 or 8 years ago. What we've done is we've taken the concept of that very natural, decoupled release off the forefoot and maintain some good structure from the heel back. And so you'll notice this shoe having a very flexible feel to it, but when you put it on, it feels like a different shoe. From the heel to the midfoot, it actually starts the shoe rolling in this direction, and then from the midfoot forward, it allows for a very natural decoupling and release off the toe. This shoe is going to maintain an 8mm heel to ball drop, giving us a little bit lower profile in this category, also giving us a little bit more flair and style for the retail wall in this category. This comes in at $105 and is called the E-Ride Flow. We also took that platform and decided it was a very comfortable platform for wearing around, and so we came up with a very nice recovery shoe concept. This will allow you to wear it as a clog, wear it with a heel, and a very interesting insole concept. Here we have our pre-race position that wakes up the sensory system on the foot, and when you flip it over, you got your post-race, which gives you optimal cushioning with memory foam. Very comfortable shoe to wear around. I can't seem to get these off my feet when I wear them right now. And doing a very basic black as well, and this is called the Renew, and comes in at about $80 at retail. Now, one thing we've done is we found that, you know, we've really hit our stride in this road running wall as far as the performance there. And we wanted to do that first, because from here, if we can make a shoe that competes in transition and performs like an Asics or a Brooks or a Mizuno type of a shoe, then we can really apply that to this trail category. The grip's been in the lineup for a little while, and it's kind of that mid-range, mid-weight shoe with a lot of protection, and we're using a pressed EVA layer to bond the outsole to the midsole, which gives it a very nice protective layer of cushioning before the cushioning without sacrificing the flexibility of the shoe. This one comes in right at about 12 ounces. We're maintaining that 11mm heel to ball, and the benefit here compared to the other highly protective shoes on the marketplace where the materials start to get harder, utilizing, you know, a full carbon rubber outsole, protection element, a little denser EVA so you're not rolling. The geometry of our shoe really benefits that person, because what we have is still a very smooth, quick transition, which really goes away when you get into those beefier, more protective trail running shoes. And so we still have a nice road feel to the shoe, even though you've got a lot of protection built into the shoe. So from there, we really wanted to hit a shoe that was going to be innovative, hitting a new feel and really taking advantage of our road technology. And so the T2C, which has been our most popular road running shoe, we took that shoe and basically turned it into a trail shoe. A lot of the similarities here: we have the same geometry to the shoe as the T2C, we have the same 11 millimeters of cushioning at the midfoot area, and we maintain the drainage that we put into the T2C. We feel that the drainage system for triathlon was very important for pouring water over your head. Same thing happens in trail. You're in and out of wet, you know, not only through wet leaves and grass and things like that, but going in and out of the streams. So we maintain the heel drainage with the channel system and the perforated midsole. We also took the same midsole material and went to the aerofoam for the trail application. What that aerofoam does for the ride of the shoe and the performance on trail is it provides a lot of deformation. That deformation is going to adapt to varying terrains and still bounce back and give you optimal cushioning every time. So you get pure road cushioning out of this shoe. At the same time, we wanted to maintain a very light upper package, but we had to reinforce it with overlays to give it some protection and also to keep your foot from moving around in the shoe laterally. And also when you're running on trails, you're going to end up going longer, and also the protection becomes very important. So what we did is we applied the TPU fiberglass composite material through the midfoot to provide some torsional structure. We took that same material and extended all the way up into the forefoot to provide that protection that's needed for the rugged terrain. Also, we didn't want to take away from the ride of the shoe. We wanted to have a shoe that felt just as good as any of those road shoes, but still maintain the traction that you need for all the varying conditions you're going to come up to in the trail scenarios. So we wanted to provide a tread pattern that was very aggressive, but at the same time, very smooth and symmetrical. With this lower profile, even tread pattern, you're not going to take away from the smoothness of the ride of the shoe, but you're still going to get all directions of support and grip out of that particular outsole. This gives this shoe an 8.5 ounce weight, a little bit heavier than our road shoe, but it's really hard to notice the difference between our high performance road shoe now and our high performance lightweight trail shoe. This is something that we're most excited about out of the line. Along with that, we're doing a color up on our light hiker, and you'll notice a very different scenario here than your typical hiking shoe. This E-Ride geometry really varies, or really differentiates this from the rest of the hiking shoes on the market that have a squared off heel. We did find that this shoe lays down very well in a walking dynamic. And when you get even stiffer in the shoes, we're using full Vibram outsoles, full length protection, you get a very, very structured platform. It's still going to roll very smoothly in a hiking application. We also took our E-Ride Fit concept that we talked about here in the Aerofoam trainers and applied it to our hiking shoe. You've got a monosock in the forefoot and a really nice wrap around the instep of the shoe. You notice how this pulls up and wraps, holding you from here back. That's very, very a good way to actually stabilize the foot in a hiking dynamic without having to squeeze the med heads up in the ball of the foot area. We came out last year with a 6.2 ounce racing flat we call the Race Rocker, and this is going to be a 5 millimeter heel to ball. And you'll notice for 6.2 ounces, there's a lot more underfoot than any other racing flat I've seen on the market. Also, the other thing here is that at 6.2 ounces, we're still maintaining carbon rubber down that strike zone. This gives this shoe a very beefy, supportive feel to the shoe, but still having all the performance of a racing flat that may came out of a line like a Mizuno or an Asics shoe. You're still getting 18 millimeters of cushioning at that midfoot strike zone. The new piece here is we added a women's color and a women's specific glass in that racing flat. Also, along with that T2, in our original concepts, we wanted to address the triathlon market. Our bikes are really driving hard in that triathlon world. We've got a lot of the German triathletes that are out there riding the Plasma Limited, and so we wanted to create a shoe that was innovative in that triathlon marketplace. So we came up with what we call the T2 Pro Evolution. This is a phenomenal fitting shoe. One of the challenges with the triathlon transition shoes is that if you're going to get in the shoe quick, it's very hard to get a good fit out of the shoe. And so what we came up with was a rear entry system that allows you to get the lacing and the fit of your everyday trainer with a monosock around your foot. Drainage under the foot with perforations in the midsole, okay? And then a rear entry system that allows you to stage it in the transition, get your fit already laced, slip your foot into the shoe, and this is actually an adjustable tension element here that allows you to just crank it up and go. Then you're going to get, if you're going to be out there running an Ironman, you don't want to run a marathon in a shoe that's not giving you optimal lacing and fit. So this provides a very nice quick solution with a very nice fit solution combined in our triathlon race shoe. This is going to be a little bit thicker than our racing flat. We're going to an 8mm drop here because you're doing a little bit longer run. Applying the aerofoam because we're going to do better for our cushioning and our shock absorption in the shoe, and getting you in at about 7.4 ounces in a men's 9. We're also doing a women's version of this. Okay? So the Scott lineup, in overall, we're finding that category for category, we've got different geometry. We're coming in at about 1.5 ounces lighter than the competitors' shoes, and we're about 2mm lower overall. Those typical heel to ball heights of their everyday shoes are a little bit misleading with this brand because of the geometry of the shoe. Even our 10mm drop shoe, because of the taper off the heel, is going to have a much lower profile feel, but we will be maintaining that optimal cushioning and thickness right where the foot is hitting the ground, combining a much lower profile, more natural interaction with the ground in every category of shoe. Thank you for your time.